Cindy, I know, reached out to you guys about some questions. So I picked a few, and I thought I'd just do them for you now since I haven't seen you guys in a while. I'll run these down for you now. Starting with Missy, who asks, if you wrote a song tomorrow and knew it would be enormous... Let's try this again. If you wrote a song tomorrow and knew it would be enormously successful, would you rather record it yourself or have someone else do it? And if the latter, who? Is it who or is it whom? I don't really care at this point. And I don't mean that like, I don't care. I mean, I don't care. I mean, if I write a song that I think is really cool, I like to know that it might see the light of day. So whatever the best means for that. And in a lot of cases, that's going to be with another artist. I guess the real answer to the question is it depends on how personal the song is lyrically. If it's a song that I've written lyrically myself, chances are nobody else is going to really want to record it because it's just too personal to me. Musically, I write songs all the time that I would love to put out on the radio as a singer, but I just don't know that that avenue really exists for me. I'm not sure, you know. So I don't care. I'm just happy to come up with ideas still and still be able to write songs that I think are viable. And I'm really lucky because I do have access to a lot of other artists, and other artists pretty regularly reach out to me to write with them or for them. So it's a pretty good thing. I'm just glad that the ideas are still coming, frankly. Matt writes, hey Richard, when's the next album coming out? Well, it's not Matt Scannell, right? Because you could just ask me in the car on the way to the gig. That would just be silly if it was you writing in. I'm not really sure what we're going to do, but there is a possibility that we're going to revamp the Emotional Remains CD, or take a few songs from the Emotional Remains CD. I've been writing a ton, and yet, you know, I know a lot of people, I know you guys know the Emotional Remains CD, but a lot of people at large they don't know it exists, because it was just really on the website and on Amazon. So I think what we might do is go in and record, and if it's going really gangbusters, I might just do a whole new record, but I might hang on to a few songs from Emotional Remains and pair them with these new songs. But so far the new stuff is it's kind of like Emotional Remains. It's a little heavier, it's a little more guitar rock based. But I'm really loving some of the songs I'm writing that I want to sing. And I'm actually going to probably collaborate with a couple of people too, just to see what happens. Chris Daughtry and I talked recently about writing together again for his next record, but I mentioned to him that I was going to make another record, so I asked him if he'd be interested in that, and he was like, yeah, man, let's write a song for you. So we'll see. Remains to be seen, but hopefully there's going to be something new. I don't even want to give a time. I'm going to start recording pretty soon, so we'll see what happens. Christina, that's a good Rick Springfield song. Christina, take me away. Christina wants to know, was there ever an artist you were working with that became a diva and you had to cut ties or put them in their place? Yes. Paul, I can't elaborate. I will. The only thing I will say is that of all the artists I've worked with, and I've worked with a lot of artists, I can probably think of 2 or 3 that I don't have any relationship with, don't want any relationship with, don't ever want to see again, don't want to know about, because they just behaved so badly, and they're just dicks. That's pretty rare. I mean, I've worked with a lot of artists, and most of them are just, you know, genuinely cool people and gracious and into, you know, professional and all that. It's rare for somebody to be a complete dick, but yeah, there have been a couple. Paul wants to know, did the Bryan Adams acoustic show inspire your own solo acoustic performances that are coming up in 2010? Have you thought of asking him to do duo shows with you like you do with Matt? Well, I'm a big Bryan Adams fan. I went to see him, I think I mentioned this or I wrote about it. I went to see his solo acoustic show. He played near where I live in Chicago. show was great. He's singing better than he's ever sung, and I think that's really saying something, because I think he's a great singer. Yeah, in a way, well, no, I mean, I can't say that he inspired me to do these solo shows, because Matt and I started to do these things before I knew Brian was doing that, and I had already sort of, once I started doing the shows with Matt, I started to think, maybe I should try a show or two like this by myself. It's really a frightening thing for me, because I'm really not a terribly good musician. I rely completely on the songs, the strength of the songs, and my ability to sing and tell stories and hang out. But I can't, like Matt Scannell is such a great guitar player that when he accompanies himself, it's just, I don't know, I'm much more impressed. But I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm putting a show together. We're starting in March, in March. I'm doing a few solo acoustic shows in Florida, and I'm scared, but I'm really looking forward to it. Seeing Brian's show I sort of made a lot of mental notes of things I thought were cool about it, and things that I thought, oh yeah, well that's so not me. That's so not what I would do. As far as Brian and me doing those kind of things together, I'd be all for it. I don't think Brian would be into it. If you meet him, ask him, but I think he'd be like, no. Let's see, Jeremy. Richard, you've mentioned that one of the most grueling things about making a record is naming it. And all but one were given names from a phrase you've stumbled upon or came from a lyric from one of the songs on the album. However, what made you decide to make the song Days in Avalon the title track for the Days in Avalon album? I've always wondered about that. Have you really always wondered about that? Jeremy, I appreciate that you wondered about that, but I hope you haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it, because then I'm going to be worried about you. Yeah, I kind of broke my rule about naming albums after songs, and you know the reason that I'm not a fan of that is because you constantly get people wondering if you're when you reference the name of that, whatever the name is, you have to then specify whether you're talking about the song or the album. Many, many, many hugely successful albums have been named after song titles. I just never wanted to do that. I think I was just lazy. I'm not sure why I went with that. I did love the title Days in Avalon. But then I had tons of people, for whatever reason, always saying Days of Avalon. I never understood why they couldn't understand Days in Avalon. Yeah, it's something I won't do again. I have no plans ever to name an album after a song. And, Days in Avalon is sort of like this record that has a few songs that I'm really proud of, but it's sort of an album of mine that sort of just fell through the cracks and never had a real release. And it was that whole experience of starting my own record company at the time, it was just all bad. It was just something I want to forget all that. See, Jeremy and you reminding me of stuff I don't want to think about. So no, that's never going to happen again. And there's no really cool reason why I broke the rule on that. It's just, maybe I was just lazy.